Hi everyone, my name is Cassie. I'm one of the GAs here at the Kinney Center, and today I'm here to talk to you about Sidewalk Chalk games. Okay, let's get started. So Sidewalk Chalk games are a great way to get outside and get creative. They're also a great way to work on your fine motor skills, such as writing and painting, as well as your gross motor skills, like running and jumping around. And if you don't have sidewalk chalk, that's no problem. I have a DIY recipe ready for you guys to make sidewalk chalk paint. So let's watch the video.
Hi everyone, this is Cassie, one of the GAs at the Kinney Center, and I'm here to show you how to make your own DIY sidewalk chalk paint. Okay, so I've already made one here. I've made the yellow, and you can see it's got a nice runny consistency so that you can paint with it. So for this recipe, you need 3 ingredients. You need cornstarch, water, and food dye. So for each 1/4 cup of water, you're going to use 3 tablespoons of cornstarch and 5 drops of food dye. So let's get started. I'm gonna measure out 1/4 cup of water. Put that in my container. Move this for now. And let's start with red. So we're gonna count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops of food dye, and we'll mix that together before we put the cornstarch in. I like to mix my food dye with my liquids before putting in dry ingredients so that the food dye mixes evenly. Okay, now we're gonna count out 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. There we go. 1, get all of that in there. 2, and 3. Okay. Now when you mix cornstarch and water together, you do have to move the spoon slowly because otherwise it won't move. There we go. Now this is giving me a bit of a pinky color, so I think after I mix in all of the cornstarch with the water, I think I'll add a few more drops of food dye and see if that helps. One, 2, 3. Let's see if that helps. Didn't really change it much. Okay, so here is our red sidewalk chalk paint. And again, it should be runny so that you can paint with it. And if you feel it's not thick enough, feel free to add more cornstarch. It just might be a little difficult to mix in. So now we'll make our blue. And I decided to just make yellow, red, and blue because you can use these 3 colors to make any other color that you want. Okay. And there we have our blue sidewalk chalk paint. Oops, splashed a little bit there. That's okay. Okay, so then when you go outside to play with these, just make sure you have at least 1 paintbrush. You can also have 1 paintbrush per color if you want, and then that's it.
Okay, so now that we know how to make sidewalk chalk paint, I just wanted to add one note that when you're painting, you may notice that the color looks a bit faded, but once it dries after about 5 minutes, you'll have nice and vibrant colors. So now that we have some sidewalk chalk or sidewalk chalk paint, we can get started on our games. Today I'm going to talk to you about hopscotch, tic-tac-toe, a beanbag toss, and an action board. So to play hopscotch, you need sidewalk chalk and a small pebble. The amount of players you need are just one or more. To play hopscotch, draw a hopscotch board on the ground using sidewalk chalk. You'll start behind the number 1 and throw a pebble onto the hopscotch board. You're going to hop onto each number until you reach the number that your pebble landed onto. You will then pick up the pebble, you'll turn around and hop back on each number until you reach the number 1, and then it's the next player's turn. So when you play hopscotch, it's important to remember to hop in numerical order. So hop 1, 2, 3, 4, until you reach the number that your pebble landed on. And then when you hop back, you're going to hop in numerical order going down. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 1 until you reach the number 1. You want to make sure that you hop on one foot the entire time. And if you mess up and have 2 feet on the ground, you start your turn over. However, there are times that you can have 2 feet on the ground. You may have 2 feet on the ground if 2 numbers are right next to each other, or if the number is extra wide. So if 2 numbers are right next to each other, you can land with 1 foot on each number. And if the number is extra wide, you can land with both feet on that one number. There are a few different ways that you can make your hopscotch board. It doesn't have to be the traditional one that we always see on the left. You can mix up the numbers, and these are a few different examples of easy hopscotch boards. And then once you've gotten really good at hopscotch, you can move on to more advanced boards. So you can see the one on the left. First you hop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 all the way at the top, and then you turn around and hop back in the other direction until you reach number 14. And then you could see in the 2 middle boards that they add different shapes such as triangles and semicircles. And in the last board all the way on the right, they use one circle that they have 8 different numbers on. So let's watch a video of how to play hopscotch. So notice that I'm starting behind the number 1, and then I throw a pebble onto the board. My board landed on the number 10, so I'm hopping on 1 foot on each number to get to the number 10. And then I turn around and I hop back down to the number 1. On my second turn, I throw the pebble and it doesn't land on a number. So I throw it again and it lands on the number 5. I hop 1, 2, I put 2 feet on the numbers 3 and 4, and then 1 foot on the number 5. And I do the same coming back. Now this time I messed up and I hopped with 2 feet on the number 2, so I started over. And this time I got it right. Keep your balance. And that's the end of my turn there. So now that we've watched a video on how to play hopscotch, we can move on to other games like tic-tac-toe. So to play tic-tac-toe, you need sidewalk chalk and just 2 players. So you'll draw a big number symbol, like what you see in yellow there. One person will be the X's and the other person will be the O's. Each person takes their turn drawing their letter in a spot on the board. The first person to get 3 of their letter in a row wins. So you can see on this board, whoever was X got 3 X's in a row, so they won. Let's watch a video of how to play tic-tac-toe. So the first person taking their turn is X's, and they draw an X in that upper right spot. Then the second person goes, and they're O's, and they put their O in that middle spot all the way on the right. Then it's X's turn again, and then O's, then X's, then O's, and then X's again, and they got 3 X's in a row, so they won. And that's how to play tic-tac-toe. Moving on from tic-tac-toe, we have a beanbag toss. For this game, you need sidewalk chalk and a beanbag or a pebble, and you need at least one player. So what you'll do is you'll draw a bullseye board on the ground. That has 3 circles. One is the biggest, one is a medium size, and then one is the smallest, the one in the center. The smallest circle will be worth the most points. The middle circle is worth some points, and the biggest circle will be worth the least amount of points. So what you'll do is you'll take turns tossing a beanbag or a pebble onto the board. And then the circle that your pebble or beanbag lands in is how many points you get. So if I tossed a beanbag and it landed in that yellow circle that says 1, I would get 1 point. But if I tossed a beanbag and it landed in that red circle in the middle that says 10, I would get 10 points for that. So let's watch a video of how to have a beanbag toss. So first I threw the pebble and it landed in the outside circle that's worth 1 point. Then I threw it again and it landed in the blue circle that's worth 5 points. This time I threw it and it landed in the bullseye on number 10. So I got 10 points for that. Now this time I threw it and it didn't land on the circle at all, so I got 0 points for that. And then that time it landed on the line, but that still counts, so I got 1 point. And that's how you have a beanbag toss. And notice I didn't have a beanbag, so I used a pebble instead, and that's okay. You can use whatever works for you. So now that we know how to have a beanbag toss, let's talk about the action board. Now this one's a lot of fun. It's similar to Hopscotch. You need sidewalk chalk to play this and at least one player. What you'll do is you'll draw out a board with as many boxes as you want. The one that I made here has 9. And in each box, you're going to write a different action that you can do. So in mine, I wrote 5 jumping jacks, 10 toe touches, things like saying your favorite food or singing the alphabet, clapping, jumping, and you can write whatever you want in these squares. So what you'll do is you'll take a pebble and you'll throw it onto the board, just like you do in Hopscotch. Whichever square your pebble lands on, read what the square says and do that action. So if I threw a pebble onto this board and the pebble landed on, say, your favorite food, I would say my favorite food, and my favorite food is macaroni and cheese. And then it would be the next person's turn. And you can do this for as long as you want. You can keep score if you want. You don't have to. So that is it for our list of sidewalk chalk games. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video guide. I hope to see you all soon. Remember to wash your hands and stay safe during these times. Bye.